Before we begin today's episode, I'd like to say thank you for those of you who have been long-time listeners of the podcast. And the thanks is overdue or well due because recently we hit the 2000 mark. That's 2000 listens or 2000 downloads. I'm not sure how those things are counted. And because of that, I'd like to say thank you very much to you guys who have been along with me every single step of the journey since we began this in February of last year, just before the lockdowns went into full effect. So, thank you very much for your support and for listening over the year and what's this now? Year 7 months or so. So, thank you very much for your time and attention. Now, straight to the recording for today. Okay. Those of you who are long-time listeners, you remember a time when for a couple of days, probably a week at the very least, I went on and on about, I think it was on communication, professionalism, and networking. Yes, professionalism, communications, and networking in the wedding industry, and I spoke about some of the initiatives that were going on in the country at the time, or rather, not at the time. I mean, in the year prior, in the years prior, people who were beginning different things here and there, trying to up the level of the game, the wedding game, so that we are much more professional, make sure that there's knowledge transfer in the industry, and that we conduct ourselves to higher standards. So today's episode is going to be a spotlight on one of those initiatives, an initiative to foster professionalism in industry. But even though we have a Nigerian at the helm, they are not based in the country. Because you'll remember that when I made those series of recordings on professionalism, I looked at some American organizations, let's see what else, and the Nigerian initiatives that they spawned. And so today's episode basically is just going to be a partner spotlight on someone else out there in the industry who believes that we need to up our game and be more professional. Although she comes at it much more from a marketing communications background, we'll all come at these things from different perspectives. When it looks like in Abuja, people try to band together around quality control and price initiatives. And, for me, sales is the driving thing. So we all come at it from different angles. But I guess at the end of the day, what we're looking for is a vibrant industry filled with wedding industry professionals. So today is going to be a spotlight on one of these people that I consider partners. Now, unfortunately, I do not know her full name. I just know her as Seyi, and she's the brain behind two businesses or two brands, and that is Love Weddings and Wedding Vendor 101. So if you'd like to see them and know what they're about, just use the Google machines, and the website should come up. But if you try those in Instagram, they definitely will come up pretty quick. So that's Love Weddings NG and Wedding Vendor 101. Now, I first ran into Seyi because we did a collabo recently around the International Podcasting Day. If I remember correctly, I think that was on September the 30th. So she had reached out on DMs, and we just had conversations around a spotlight on this particular podcast, that is Sales for the Nigerian Wedding Industry. And I was down, we hashed out a couple of ideas, but at the end of the day, all we fleshed out was just the podcast spotlight. And then I was also included on a list of 10 podcasts that every Nigerian bride should listen to. So Seyi's background is in professional marketing, so that makes her kind of different from the rest of us, because a lot of us who get into the wedding and the event space, we kind of how will I put it? Well, before we veer off and start looking at other things, like for me now, who is getting heavily involved in sales consulting, we usually start off from home base, let me just put it that way. So like with me being a wedding photographer, but for her entry has been the other way around. So she's been a professional marketer. Yeah, we can put it that way. She has a professional marketing background. Her early degree was in mass communications, and she got masters in advertising design. And she has had previous work in the advertising and the public relations industry. And I guess that's something we have in common. Not that I was involved in the public relations industry, but my mom is a retired public relations exec. So whenever I run into young ladies in the who also taking a crack at the career, of course, much love goes out to them, because I pretty much witnessed my mom go through the whole thing about having to be involved in marketing communications, but at an executive level. So, by all means, more power to young ladies who are trying to get into the industry at an executive level, and basically not just being sales girls, toting products around just because you're pretty or something like that. So, more power to you guys. So, business philosophy and the driving philosophy behind those businesses, that is Love Weddings and Wedding Vendor 101, is the idea that the difference between big brands and small and medium scale businesses is marketing communications. And now that's something that I can relate to, because I've said it over and over again on the podcast, that the difference between the big boys and the big girls and the rest of us is not magic and it's not talent. It's basically around how we're able to differentiate ourselves in the market. Now, I think a key part of our differentiation should be your personal selling efforts, because basically that ties into how it is that you run business. And Seyi thinks that it should be about marketing communication. So I guess you could say we're speaking the same language. Maybe she from a more top level approach, and then me from more bottom up approach. So Love Weddings was launched in 2014. That's a period that she kind of thinks of as the Nigerian wedding rebirth, and I remember that time, fond memories about that. But a lot of online and social media coverage at the time was focused around the couples, so and so is getting married, and all the wonderful stuff that we would see on platforms like Bella Niger and gosh, I can't remember what the other ones were at the time. For some reason, I can only remember Bella Niger right now. So, Love Weddings was set up in response to that whole movement, but Love Weddings was going to come at it from the supplier or the vendor angle. When she speaks about these things, she says suppliers, I say vendors. So, whether I say vendor or supplier, I'm using the terms interchangeably and we mean the same thing. So, basically, Love Weddings was going to be about covering the wedding industry, but looking at things much more from our angle. That's the professional angle, the professionals angle, and not just our clients, not just the bride and the grooms. So Love Weddings is not just a site, but you can also think of it as an agency that focuses on content creation for vendors. For instance, they have an online series called 5 Minutes With, which is where basically they just have 5 minute interviews and spotlight different spotlight different wedding vendors or suppliers, as she likes to call them. So content creation is their thing. So if you're looking for someone with a professional marketing background and you're thinking about content creation, you want to increase the reach of your business online, then Seyi and Love Weddings are definitely people that you guys ought to be reaching out to. Like I said, just run a quick search on Instagram using those tags and you'll be able to find them. Love Weddings NG and Wedding Vendor 101. Then on the site, they also have different business tips and tricks for wedding suppliers, and that definitely meets my approval because most of us come into this industry already knowing the technical bits. We're already, for the photographers, we already know shutter speed, ISO, what else, light direction. If you're the cake artist, you know how to mix, you know how to do sugar crafting. If you're a decor person, you know everything about your textures, textiles, seating arrangements, and what have you. So we all know the technical bits because that's just entry level stakes. So the key differentiation is going to be about the business know-how. So I'm glad that we have people out there, Love Weddings included, who are putting out lots of business tips and tricks so that we can learn and grow our businesses. So out of Love Weddings, eventually Wedding Vendor 101 was spun out. And on that, they have a supplier or a vendor directory, as I would call it. So it's a free directory. You go there, you set up your profile, and so hopefully you should be able to get some business from there. So if any of these things catch your fancy, if you're a wedding industry professional and you want to expand your reach online, be sure to search them out on Instagram and initiate a conversation. She's real nice and relatable, and you'll see if there's a way that they can help you guys. And then of course they also arrange meet and greets with vendors. I haven't attended one of those. I haven't even seen one of those, so it'll be nice to see how those work out in the flesh. So that's it pretty much today. This is me highlighting the contribution that other people are making to the industry, whether home or abroad, to make sure that we are tipped up in growing our businesses, and we raise the bar when it comes to professionalism in the game. And so because of that, I'd like to use this episode to say salute to Seyi of Love Weddings and Love Weddings NG and Wedding Vendor 101. So continue with the good work that you're doing in the industry, and as time goes on, we hope that you grow and you progress, and you get lots of plenty returns, and so that your increasing footprint will not just be a benefit to you, but a benefit to the rest of us as well. So that's it pretty much for today. The partner spotlight, and from time to time I will make episodes about people that I think are moving in the right direction when it comes to increasing the level of professionalism in the industry. So that's it. So thank you very much for listening to the Sales for the Nigerian Wedding Industry podcast. I'm your host, Abuja-based sales consultant and event media professional, Tavishima George Aede. Thank you very much for your time and attention. I'll catch you guys at the next recording.